In today's video, I will tell you the story of a young man happy to buy an apartment, but everything turns murky when he hears a strange noise coming from the building. So sit down and get comfortable because in this video, I'm going to tell you the story of...
Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap the movie.
In April 2021, in Seoul, apartment prices reached their all-time highs. Due to the constant rise in prices, the young Woo-seong rushes to buy an apartment for 1,100 million won. As many people were waiting, he decides to purchase it. Woo-seong begins to live a happy life with his fiancée, even more so seeing how the apartment he bought appreciated in value. But in August 2024, apartment prices fell. Now his home is worth 800 million won. The financial pressure leads to the breakup of his engagement with his girlfriend, and Woo-seong, burdened with over 700 million in loans, combines a daytime job with nighttime deliveries to survive. He now lives alone, with the apartment all dirty, and on top of that, hearing noises from his neighbors. His co-worker suggests selling the apartment to get out of debt, but believing the price will go up, he doesn't want to do it. That night, upon returning to his apartment, he sees that the neighbor downstairs left notes asking him to stop the noise. This seems strange to him, because the one making noise is the neighbor living upstairs. He calls maintenance to ask them to reprimand the upstairs neighbor. That night, he goes out to his other job, and when he returns, he finds more notes asking him to stop making noise.
Again? Seriously?
Woo-seong decides to ignore it and go to sleep, but at 4:30 in the morning, he hears a phone alarm, though it's not his. He also hears noises at his door and realizes that the neighbor, Joo-kyung, is the one leaving the notes. He gets angry with her and assures her that the noise isn't coming from his apartment. Although the neighbor tells him that her husband says it is, Woo-seong asks her to leave him alone, and as he was about to enter his home, the neighbor starts acting strangely, warning him that if he doesn't stop making noise, her husband will come, insisting that he's the one making the noise, and enters the apartment without permission. But no noise is heard. She insists that Woo-seong is making the noise, threatens him, and leaves. And just as she leaves, the noise starts again.
The fuck? Are they purposefully doing this?
Determined to find the source of the noise, Woo-seong goes up to apartment 1501, believing the person in that apartment is making the noise. But he tell him it's not him and he think it's the people upstairs causing the noise. So he goes up one more floor, but discovers that the noise isn't coming from there either. The person living on that floor believes the noise is coming from the floor above, 1701. Woo-seong thinks it's impossible but goes up to ask anyway. He finds an elderly couple, and when he asks them to stop making noise, the old man complains and yells that he's not the noisy one, but the people upstairs. Woo-seong is tired of climbing so many floors but does it anyway to get to the bottom of the matter. At the penthouse, he meets the Residents Association president, Eun-hwa. Woo-seong apologizes for disturbing her and tells her he came not only because of the noise, but because his downstairs neighbor keeps leaving him notes. The president tells him that she owns that apartment and asks him to wait 2 months until the neighbor's lease ends and she has to leave. As an apology for the inconvenience, she gives him money. But upon returning to his apartment, he finds more notes and his bicycle vandalized. The next day, his co-worker talks to him about the possibility of making a lot of money by investing in a cryptocurrency called GB coin.
No, don't you do that!
All he has to do is wait for the price to drop to a specific point to buy it, and wait for the price to rise. Woo-seong refuses to do it due to the insecurity of the investment, but his co-worker convinces him, saying he knows when to sell the crypto to recover the investment. His co-worker suggests he take out another loan to invest and pay off all his debts. He does it, but he's reached his limit. So desperate and tired of his job, he decides to put his apartment up for sale. The buyer offers only 800 million won, and out of desperation, Woo-seong accepts and asks for 85 million won as a down payment to invest in the cryptocurrency. Upon receiving the money, he rushes to his apartment, seeing that the crypto is about to drop to the value he needs to buy it. Woo-seong buys the crypto while the neighbors keep making noise. The next day, he and his coworker can't believe it worked, and the coin is rising in value. According to his coworker's information, the crypto will lose its value on the 15th of August at 8:15 in the morning. So, a little before that, they have to sell it. Woo-seong, happy that he'll finally pay off his debts, decides to clean his apartment. He doesn't even care about the neighbor's noise anymore. He just puts in earplugs and goes to sleep. That night, someone enters his apartment. The noise increases, and now it seems to be coming from downstairs. The neighbor from 1501, Jin-ho, knocks on his door to tell him he can't stand the noise. Woo-seong lets him in to show him he's not the one making the noise, but when he enters, the noise stops. Woo-seong tells him he thinks it's the downstairs neighbors, but Jin-ho doesn't believe him. When he leaves, the noise starts again. Annoyed, Woo-seong starts banging on the floor and making noise himself. When he looks up, he realizes someone is recording him. Believing it's the downstairs neighbors, he goes down to confront them, but no one opens the door. He goes outside to smoke and stares at the apartment. There, the neighbor's husband appears and threatens him to stop the noise. Woo-seong gets scared and goes back to his apartment. In the elevator, he runs into the man, who he thinks might attack him, but he just leaves, asking for silence. Since Woo-seong thinks the downstairs neighbors are the ones making the noise, he spends every day making noise to bother them too, causing the entire building to blame him for all the noises heard. While sleeping, he has a nightmare about his mother calling him noisy and the noise causing his apartment to collapse. Upon waking, he sees that there's one day left until the crypto reaches its peak. That night, he starts hearing louder noises. Woo-seong gets desperate and starts making noise himself, causing everyone in the building to knock on his door, blaming him for the annoying noise. The president shows up to calm them down and prevent a scandal that could lower the building's value. Woo-seong blames the downstairs neighbors for the noise and lets them search his apartment to prove it's not him. But when they search, the neighbors find that Woo-seong has a noise pollution speaker set up with a phone playing 18 hours of construction noise. Woo-seong is shocked and believes the neighbor's husband planted it. When the two are about to fight, the neighbor pretends to be hit so that Woo-seong gets arrested for assault right on the day he needs to sell the crypto. At the police station, Woo-seong asks the officers for his phone, but it's broken, and he can't sell the crypto. He tries to escape, but the police catch him. Seeing that there's a computer in the office, he locks himself in to sell the crypto. But the officers are about to break in. As he tries to stop them, one hits him on the head. As best he can, he tries to sell the cryptocurrency, but they shoot him with a taser. Woo-seong keeps trying, and just as he's about to click, one of the officers unplugs the computer. When he wakes up, the police confirm he didn't assault his neighbor and release him. Additionally, the building's president had testified in his favor. Upon returning to his apartment, Woo-seong realizes he's lost everything. Later, he writes a note to his mother, telling her he's gone bankrupt and apologizing for leaving her alone just before he was about to jump out the window. But they don't even let him commit suicide in peace, as the noise starts again. Seeing the lights downstairs on, he thinks it's his neighbors again. So, he goes out with a hammer to put an end to it once and for all. Jin-ho shows up to tell him to stop the noise. Woo-seong tells him it's not him and attacks him, but he can't overpower him. So, Jin-ho drags him to his apartment to attack him but realizes he's not the one making the noise. Though the next day, the noise persists.
Exactly. Why are they constantly making noise?
And since Woo-seong insists it's his downstairs neighbors, Jin-ho asks to go together to their apartment to find out what's going on. There, they find the door open and realize no one's there. The two decide to search the entire apartment to see if there's a speaker causing the noise. But not only do they find nothing, the noise keeps going. There, they realize their neighbors have a lot of debt, and that the owner of that apartment is Jin-ho, the president's husband, who, curiously, is the same person who bought Woo-seong and Jin-ho's apartments. So, the two think the president and her husband are making the noise to drive people crazy and make them want to sell their homes. Though they need proof. At that moment, Woo-seong gets a call from the president, to talk about what happened earlier. The two devise a plan so that once Woo-seong is in the penthouse, Jin-ho shows up to distract the president, allowing Woo-seong to search for evidence linking her to the building's noises. While searching, he finds a gas gun and a door with a fingerprint scanner. Upon checking the room, he finds the president's husband, who accuses him of being a thief. Woo-seong loses it and confronts them, blaming them for the noise. The president just laughs and kicks Woo-seong out of her house. Jin-ho tells him he shouldn't have confronted them like that. But convinced they're guilty, he wants to go back in and find evidence. Jin-ho offers to help, feeling bad for blaming him. But when Woo-seong checks the phone playing the music, he realizes it's being controlled by Wi-Fi. As he was about to tell Jin-ho, he realizes the Wi-Fi is coming from there. Jin-ho invites him to the sauna, but realizing he's the culprit, Woo-seong pretends he can't go. Though later, he decides to go with him and swap the apartment keys to sneak in. At the sauna, Jin-ho confesses he's an undercover journalist looking for a big story to tell. Woo-seong pretends to be sleepy and rushes to Jin-ho's apartment, verifying that Jin-ho has been making the noise all along. Upon entering his room, he finds that Jin-ho had been investigating all the residents and had hacked the building so he could control all its systems. That's how he got into his house and planted the speaker. On top of that, he has a massive speaker system to cause noise throughout the building. As he was about to leave, Jin-ho arrives home. Woo-seong hides and notices that Jin-ho has been recording him and provoking him to go crazy, turning his neighbors against him. Jin-ho goes to sleep, and Woo-seong was about to take advantage to kill him but can't do it. At that moment, someone knocks on the door, and Woo-seong hides. The neighbor arrives, furious because her husband is dying. Jin-ho tells her he asked her husband to pretend to be hit, not to actually get hit. We realize that Jin-ho had paid the neighbors in 1301 to prevent Woo-seong from selling the cryptocurrency.
I hate this guy.
He offers her more money to keep her quiet, but she gets angry and destroys his videotapes, making Jin-ho angry.
Bitch, you understand?
Then he decides to call the police and blame Woo-seong for what happened, but it was all a lie to make Woo-seong come out of hiding. Jin-ho starts hurting himself to frame him. He tells him he did all this to expose a fraud in the building's construction and used him as a scapegoat because he was the easiest to mess with. When Jin-ho was about to kill Woo-seong, he offers to help expose the corruption and recover his home. Jin-ho accepts but threatens to kill his mother if anything goes wrong. Jin-ho and Woo-seong go up to the penthouse with the neighbor and cut the gas to blow the place up once they get what they want. There, they kidnap the president and her husband. Jin-ho introduces himself to her and tells her he knows she was a prosecutor who knew about the building's poor construction but never let it come to light. He holds a grudge because that story was written by him, but it never came out, and they sent someone to kill him. When the president started buying poorly constructed buildings, he began investigating her and moved nearby to find evidence that she's corrupt. Jin-ho demands the ledger revealing the dirty money with the names of those involved in poor quality constructions. The president denies its existence. But Jin-ho knows it's real and that she kept it to avoid being blamed as a middleman in the bad construction. When he was about to hit her, she says her husband knows where the ledger is. Jin-ho takes the husband and asks Woo-seong to watch her. There, Woo-seong reveals to the president that Jin-ho killed Joo-kyung and that he pretended to be on his side to avoid the same fate, so he decides to help her. But at that moment, Jin-ho grabs her, angry because he realized there's no ledger in the room to incriminate her. She admits to taking bribes from various construction companies, but furious at not finding the ledger, he hits her and her husband. Meanwhile, Woo-seong looks for the gas gun, but when he tries to shoot Jin-ho, he notices and attacks him. The president grabs the gun and shoots gas at Jin-ho, making it hard for him to breathe. The president gives her husband the hammer to kill Jin-ho and hides in the room. Woo-seong gets up and realizes Jin-ho is still alive, though badly injured. The president comes out of the room and asks Woo-seong to kill him, but he wants to take him to the authorities. The president tries to persuade him to kill him, but he doesn't listen. Angry, the president hits him,
Indecisive piece of shit!
revealing that the ledger was there all along. As she was about to kill Woo-seong, Jin-ho gets up and kills the president. Jin-ho asks for the ledger, but when Woo-seong realizes his apartment contract is also there, he decides to burn it along with the ledger, recovering his home and foiling the journalist's plans. Woo-seong leaves the building just as it explodes. He loses consciousness and wakes up in the hospital with his mother. Woo-seong stated that Jin-ho did all this because the building's noises drove him crazy, though the authorities don't entirely believe it. Woo-seong goes to live at his childhood home for a while and then returns to his apartment, where he hears a noise again. In the end, he laughs, knowing he bought a poorly constructed apartment, and that is how the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more horror stories. See you next time.